Okay, so yeah, I submitted the list of equipment, modern type of equipment that we needed, and it was approved. All of it was approved. So that one step in 1985, I don't remember exactly when we started getting it, but the city, Mayor Bradley provided the funds to purchase this equipment for our firefighters, and they carry them today. They've saved many lives with that equipment. People don't think about that, but these rollover, the car wrecks and everything, and trucks, they were able to lift things up. On Northridge earthquake, they used the lifting airbags on the Northridge Meadows apartment because it again had a soft first story and the whole apartment house came down, actually moved over 6 feet too. But it came down, so these people were trapped in there. And I remember I went out there a little later. I didn't see this actual rescue, but there's a photograph of it where the firefighters, between the second floor and the first floor, most of the people were in their bedrooms because it was 5:47 in the morning. Yeah. And so they put the lifting airbags in between the floors, two of them or three, and lifted the building up with these airbags and got the person out of his bedroom. Amazing. So when you think about, well, yeah, you get all this equipment through all this time now. We're talking several years now from Northridge, but how many lives have been saved with this new equipment? And how much work these CERT people have done all over our city, for one, but all the cities around us have the program. It's a wonderful program. Keep training new people.
We'll go back to, we talked about the parking structure that collapsed in Sylmar.
Yeah.
All of you.
Yeah.
The same thing happened in Northridge.
Right.
We had the same thing happen. So talk about that a little bit, but also, what were the lessons we didn't learn? What if we still get to learn about all this?
Well, that's a good question. One of the things that I didn't mention, I didn't actually go see what happened, but there were a lot of pictures in the Sylmar earthquake where the freeway interchange collapsed. Okay, so they said, yeah, well, we got to rebuild this. So they rebuilt it. And in Northridge, almost the same area, the freeway collapsed again. Actually, a poor motorcycle officer went off the edge because it was dark and the freeway was gone. Killed him. But I don't know. Now they rebuilt it again. I don't know if it would survive a third earthquake. It's hard to say. So the damage to the infrastructure is really something to look at. And I know a lot of engineers have studied this. Matter of fact, I work with a structural engineer, Charles Scotthorne, who has done studies of what he's called fire following earthquake. And we did a study here in Los Angeles about what may happen on a Santa Ana wind day. The earthquake hits, fires start and spread. That's the problem. So, what have we learned? Well, we've learned many things actually about building construction and all kinds of things that we've learned since that time. But will some of this work? I don't know. Building new buildings. I will say that what was interesting in high-rise buildings in the '71 quake in Sylmar, they really weren't damaged that bad. Some of the windows were broken and they didn't really collapse high-rise. But in Northridge, this is interesting. The structural engineers came out and they took a really close look, and they did find damage in many of the high-rise buildings. The damage occurred sometimes where you couldn't even see it because there's plaster walls, but in the column and beam connection, where the structural steel columns went up, and each floor has, a floor and a connection. Well, many of these connections were weakened. Some were broken. So many of the buildings had to be repaired, I guess, and most people didn't know that. But that was a brand new thing for the engineers to find out. And so now, they've designed a new way to connect. So all the modern high-rise that are built now have a new, better, modern connection between the column and beam.
The one thing about Sylmar, there were only two high-rises there at the time. they were both hospitals.
Yeah, that
You
were
know, and
close.
everything
Yeah.
else was in San Fernando too. In San Fernando, we only had like 2 stories.
Yeah.
You know, and I see pictures, and of course I remember too,
Hmm.
of the facades of the Porter Hotel and downtown the San Fernando Mall,
Hmm.
where all those collapsed and just fell off the front. They were
Yeah.
old buildings,
Yeah.
pre Long Beach.
Yeah.
You
Pre
know.
33.
Yeah.
That's what we call them.
And you mentioned the 2 things I want to talk about: fires and communications.
Hmm.
Fires specifically, we didn't have a whole lot of fire. I mean, the Watts riots, we had 916 fires going at one time, or not
Yeah.
Watts.
Well, I was in the
92.
Watts riot and the 92
I
riot.
remember them both. But during the Sylmar earthquake,
Mhm.
there were fires.
Hmm.
And how did the fire department respond to those fires at the same time as they were responding to rescues?
Well, our system, and has been in existence for a long time, is to move up our fire companies that are not in the impacted area to the impacted area. So that really starts helping. The 2 similarities between Sylmar and Northridge, though, in Northridge, there was a huge mobile home park fires. In Sylmar, there was fires. And what happens is the mobile homes shake, pull away from the gas line connection, and somehow ignites with an ignition source. Same thing happened in the Northridge earthquake, and it was actually a big fire. It was very difficult for our guys to even surround it. It was huge. Lost a lot of mobile homes. I don't think anyone was killed there, but many of the mobile homes were destroyed. And so that was a problem. Now, what they did is they designed a better foundation structure for the mobile homes, and a central shutoff of the gas lines, so they can be shut off quickly. Many times the shutoffs in the pipes that run under our street are located far away, and they're under asphalt. They're buried, and so it's sometimes very difficult. Remember, in Northridge, the water main on Balboa, 56-inch water main, broke, and at the same time, the gas line under the street broke. So you had this huge flood and this fire coming out of the street. That was a pretty dramatic thing. Now, will that happen again? Probably so. I think the pipelines, some of the pipelines under the streets are 50 more years old, 100 years old. So we'll probably see that again. Hopefully we're not going to have another big earthquake here, but you never know. So the underground infrastructure is something that we need to be concerned about.